Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the December 2024 astrology. Holiday season is upon us. So there's a number of things that are happening here this month. The first one is we kick off right on the 1st of December. We have our new moon. And the thing about this new moon is I left it to this video to do this, but on the Pacific coast, this particular moon was actually on the 30th of November. But everywhere else, pretty much in the world, it would be the next day, which is the 1st of December. And in particular, I wanted to talk about this new moon in relation to a square that's happening. I'll talk about that in a minute. So the new moon has the moon and the sun together, and it is at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, 33 minutes. And it is at 10:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 30th of November. But then all others, including, let's just say, the East Coast, it's on the 1st of December at 1:21 a.m. So this is like your new year, Sagittarius. I'm a Sagittarian by sun sign, so this is my new start too. Yeah. And I talked about the square. The square that I'm talking about here is a moon as well as Saturn. So it's a moon-Saturn square. And this actually happens on the 1st of December at 4:48 a.m. And what's interesting about this is that this square sets in to the newness that you want to have happen in your life at the new moon. Hours later, you're having to make some adjustments of some sort, right? That square asks you to adjust. When we look at Saturn, it can put a delay on things. It can put a damper on things. It can sometimes bring difficulties too. And it could bring difficulties if we take it out to the larger world with the people. So it's like the people have to make an adjustment here is what this speaks to, right? But in your own personal life, it could just have difficulties, emotional difficulties, perhaps with women. The moon can represent the female in some ways as well, right? Or at least the mother. So you may literally have maybe an argument or disagreement with your mother. That could just play out just like that, right? But they are both in, the moon is in Sagittarius, and then, of course, Saturn is in Pisces. And the degrees we're talking about are about 13 to 14 degrees for this to have any real effect on you, right? Now, the new moon is going to have Venus trining Uranus. That's very positive. That's like exciting excitement in your love life potential. Maybe for others, some unexpected money coming their way, that type of thing, right? And we do have Mercury is still retrograde at this new moon on the 1st of December. And it is opposing Jupiter, which is also retrograde. So this speaks to maybe things not being so clear, or again, this whole disagreement type thing with the opposition. You can have literally opposing forces here. And Mercury really speaks to things like communications. It can even be our thoughts as well, right? The news. And this could bring news with regards to what? Maybe foreign people, foreign things. Maybe some issues regarding travel for some reason as well. Jupiter can represent that too. Jupiter can also represent the law. And so on this sort of mundane level, it could have, things like legal issues going on in many ways behind the scenes, kind of like negotiations, because both these planets are retrograde at this time, right? And the ruler of this new moon, of course, is Jupiter. So we want to watch where that is. So that may be a theme that comes up at this new moon in Sagittarius. Nicely, we have that Jupiter retrograde sextiling Chiron, which is also really nice too. So this suggests that there may be some healing of some sort going on here. And the healing may actually be going on in a foreign country or with foreign people, right? Jupiter can represent that too. Now, when we move on to the 6th and 7th of December, we have that Mars going retrograde. Now, I've already spoken about this in other videos at length. But here we're talking about this Mars retrograde is at 6 Leo, 9 minutes on the 6th, 7th of December. And this is going to be a long-lasting one. And the thing that stood out for me was, sure, retrograde is starting in Leo, but it's going to be spending most of its time in Cancer, right? And it will go direct in Cancer towards the last days of February, but then it still has to make its way through the shadow period, right? So this, to me, features the homeland, right? It features, when we're talking about Cancer here, the mother, mothering, right? That nurturing, that type of thing as well. Now, I always say, with a Mars retrograde, one of the best ways to utilize the energy, because there's going to be potentially frustrations, delays, can't move forward on things. Have a plan A, B, and C for any projects that you're going. Now, I would say that this Mars retrograde is a great time to plan out some kind of, say, project of some sort. Or maybe you've got to make some decisions or take some actions in your life. Well, this is a great time period to plan all those, not necessarily a time to move forward with them. So you can expect some frustrations here, but you can avoid some of those frustrations by realizing that you're probably going to have some kind of delays or frustrations come up regarding something that you want to take action on. When we go on here to the 15th, 16th of December, well, our Mercury is going to be going direct at that time. And we're also going to have our next lunation, which is a full moon in Gemini. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So that fact that Mercury goes direct on the same day is important, right? So this means there's a lot of chatter. That's what I got out of this. So there's two signs that are ruled by Mercury, Gemini and Virgo. But Gemini really deals with kind of a lot of information. And so this says to me news. So there's probably going to be a lot of news coming our way regarding this full moon here. It's at 23 degrees of Gemini, 53 minutes at 1:07 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. As I mentioned, it's on the 15th of December. And so almost 12 hours later, 12:57 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, is when that Mercury will go direct. And it will go direct at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. Now that Mercury will be trining Mars at this time, right? See, remember, Mars is still in Leo for the first little while of its start of its retrograde. And so that's very positive. It can have you speaking your mind, right? Maybe successfully drawing up some plans. Maybe you do your Gantt chart or some kind of milestone type thing. You start that process around this time. It would be a great, even though this is a full moon, that this Mercury trine Mars is happening on, it still would be a good time to say, take a look at the big picture, right? Now, on that same day, but a little bit later, just by a few minutes or so at 1:01 p.m., that moon will be at 0 degrees of Cancer, and it will be squaring the north nodes in Aries at that time. So this is another piece of information that goes with this full moon regarding a wrap-up, a big spotlight put on something here. And again, we go back to this whole thing of Cancer. And so I see this as potentially women rising up and maybe even making statements, because of course Mercury is going direct at this time, about their future, right? And it has a lot to do with anything Cancer related. So our homeland, mothering, and nurturing are all up here. And there's a clash that's going on, right? The other nice thing that we have happening, again, we're having Mercury come in here on the stage. Mercury is going to be sextiling Venus. And we're looking here at the influence of Aquarius as a sign. And I really thought this might also be a time when we get an opportunity to talk science. That might be up too. Humanitarian things, opportunities to put some humanitarian type of activity, discussions on the table could be. But we could actually literally just hear something regarding some scientific breakthrough of some sort. On the 21st of December, we have our winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. And this is at 1:21 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The moon is going to be at 13 degrees of Virgo. The moon will be opposite of Saturn. Yeah, so the moon opposite Saturn really speaks to, and I'm going to take this out to the mundane level, clashes with authorities. It's authorities trying to squash the people. We have Jupiter squaring Saturn at this time, and we have Venus still sextiling Chiron. So that whole Jupiter square Saturn, now Jupiter many times just gives positive energy, but I really see this kind of dovetails into this whole other transit of the moon opposite to Saturn. So I think there's going to be some rising up here of some sort. Now with the Jupiter, this could represent foreign people, foreign things, right? And so there may be some difficulties that go on with authorities in foreign lands, with foreign people, that could be. And it can also be the law. So there may be some pushback with regards to the law here. Some laws are being put down that don't sit well with everybody. Yeah. And of course, we have Christmas around this time as well for many people. So then the 25th of December, we still have that Jupiter square to Saturn. And the degree point is around 14 degrees of Gemini and Pisces, respectively, right? So there may be some difficulties going on here around Christmas time in foreign lands. There may also be difficulties with some travel of some sort for some reason, right? This could tie in things that are like Pisces, which is the water, right? Maybe an excessive water of some sort. So when we go now into the 28th of December, we have Mercury, which is going direct, will be squaring Saturn as well. So we can see that Saturn kind of plays into this whole month. And so it really says to me, there's a lot of emphasis being put on the rules, the regulations, authority figures, that type of thing too, right? And so this is, news that we don't want to hear or news that we don't agree with this square, right? And we end this month of December with a second new moon in Capricorn. So Capricorn, you've been having some story go on this year, right? So you had your first new moon on the 11th of January. You had a full moon on the 22nd of June this year. And now you're doing another new start with another new moon. Typically, you only get one new moon per sign in the year. So listen up, Capricorn. There's some story going on here. Go back to January and June and ask yourself what was activated around that time, what things came in for you, what people came in for you. Because there's a whole new start here. And this is like right around New Year's, right? And so there may be, for some Capricorns, some real celebration going on here around that New Year's time period. So for it to have any effect, we're looking here at 9 Capricorn, 44 minutes, right? It's on the 30th of December at 2:26 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Pluto is going to be sextiling the North Nodes, and the North Nodes are making its way out of Aries to go into Pisces, right? Remember that North Nodes go backwards mid-January. So to me, this is also an indication of opportunities for new start in our collective destiny here. Venus will be squaring Uranus, and Pluto, notably, will be opposing a Mars retrograde. Yeah, so this is also, I would say, an important thing to pay attention to. So this is transformation, right? Difficulties with transforming and taking action. So with that Mars retrograde, it's like being held back here. So that transformation, for some reason, is being held back. The ruler of this moon, of course, is Saturn. And when we look at Saturn, Saturn is direct at this time at 14 degrees of Pisces. And it's got a wide square with Mercury at 18 Sagittarius, but it is fairly wide. But I did want to take a look at that ruler. So this also indicates, difficulties with accepting, information that's coming from authorities. Yeah, but that Pluto opposing Mars. Now this also can indicate the more negative sides of Pluto coupled with a retrograde Mars. This is, planning behind the scenes, maybe even nefarious type activities behind the scenes with that setup of Pluto opposing Mars. But maybe for us individually, the transformation that we want to take or make before the new year starts is somehow hampered in some way, right? I say just have a lot of patience around this new moon towards the 30th of December. And certainly if you are going out to parties or whatever, take your time to, check all your details out. Don't speed. That's probably one. Don't do anything against the law, that sort of thing, or authorities, right? But I wish everybody the best over this holiday season. Enjoy yourself. Try to take it easy as best you can. And hey, let's look forward to those new starts, right? At that new moon towards the end of this year. Now, when we look at January 2025, can you believe it? Yeah. We have a full moon at 23 of Cancer. We're going to have a new moon at 9 of Pisces. Uranus will go direct, which will be good news. That's kind of push things forward in a positive way. Mars is still going to be retrograde, but it will be now in Cancer, right? And then, of course, the Sun will conjunct Pluto in January too, right? So that'll be an Aquarius thing. So that to me says, this can be somebody important in the world bringing transformation our way when we have the Sun conjunct Pluto, right? And especially in Aquarius. Exciting new things potentially happening starting in January. But I will cover all that later for you. All right, everybody, I'm going to move on now to do the individual sun signs and or ascendants, whichever one resonates with you. I suggest that you probably watch, or for my Spotify listeners, listen to start with your ascendant. That'll give you the areas of life that all these different moons that I spoke about this month of December are landing. And then look at your sun sign, listen to your sun sign, watch your sun sign to just get a little bit more information, because your sun is the most important thing in your chart. So Sagittarius, well, this is kind of your month in many ways, right? We've got the sun here in Sagittarius for a lot of days, and you've got your new moon. So happy new year to all my Sagittarian clients and viewers. So that new moon, that is 30th of November on Pacific Coast, or the 1st of December for pretty well all the other places, lands in your first house. So this is your opportunity to put new things in place for yourself, right? And when we think about Sagittarius, maybe you'll plan some trip for yourself. Maybe you will decide that you want to go back to school and get some further education. I get the real feeling, though, with this new moon for Sagittarius is that Travel could be on the books for you. Yeah, and that's your new start here, right? Maybe even some people deciding to make the move overseas, that type of thing as well. Because Sagittarius really refers to long distance travel, amongst other things too. Publishing could be in the mix for some of you, right? There could be some new start with regards to maybe some legal matter of some sort. Whatever it is, this is your opportunity to kick off something new in your life. So celebrate that, Sagittarius. At that new moon, I mentioned that we actually have a square happening, right? And that square is with Saturn. So we're looking here at the new moon in your first house, and then that square happening in your fourth house. So for some Sagittarians, there may be some challenges with regards to fourth house matters with that square at the new moon. And so that's the family, that's the mother. It could just be maybe some difficulties organizing maybe some holiday events. I just say with squares, try to make it a win-win. Think outside the box. And sometimes it's just having patience, right? And maybe let things happen as opposed to trying to make things happen. When we look at that full moon in Gemini, well, we know Gemini is the opposite sign to you, Sagittarius. So that now puts a focus on your seventh house. Yeah, and I mean, the nice thing about that full moon in Gemini is that Mercury will be direct at that time, right? It goes direct that same day. So there may be some news that's brought to you from a partner. It could be a business partner, it could be marriage partner, it could be any other. But the focus really here is on this other person. And because Mercury goes direct that way, that day, I'm getting the impression that most of you are going to be receiving some news, maybe some long-awaited news regarding something that's seventh house, so some other, right, partnership of some sort that comes your way. And it's a full moon, so this is an ending, it's a culmination, it's a big spotlight put on something that has to do with the other, right? So this could be maybe some Sagittarians have been putting together some kind of business partnership, and this full moon in Gemini has you wrapping it up, right? And you put the final stamp on it. Maybe you sign the papers, that type of thing. When we look at that new moon, that second new moon of the year in Capricorn, well, that's in your second house. So this could be some new start with regards to maybe some folks are starting a new job. And that's what happens towards the end of December is you get all the green lights to start this new job and have a new source of income coming in for yourself, right? This can also have maybe authority figures above you say that we value you so much, we want to give you a bonus towards the end of the year. How nice would that be? Yeah, I mean, that second house can represent values, but especially value of self. So you may get some recognition, Sagittarius, that's well-deserved, that may come in the form of some kind of benefit or maybe even some money, maybe a raise, right? Some others just may have decided they want to change their jobs, and it all comes together towards the end of the year at this new moon in Capricorn. And maybe some Sagittarians have been eyeing this new source of income for almost a year, right? Because we had the new moon in January, the full moon in June, all in Capricorn. And then this is, even though it's a new moon, it's kind of a bit of a finality of some sort where you can finally make this new start. Take care of yourself, Sagittarius. So Capricorn, that new moon in Sagittarius is in your 12th house. So I would say that, yeah, I mean, the 12th house is it's a hidden house. It's things that we kind of put underneath the carpet. It's institutions that are hidden, like hospitals, for instance, government offices, that type of thing. And so there's some kind of new start here. Because it's in Sagittarius, it could have something to do with a few things. It could have something to do with maybe planning some travel of some sort, right? You see an opportunity there to go to travel, and you start putting that together. That's your new start. For others, it might be some legal matters that go on behind the scenes that are new starts for you. It could also have some folks maybe having to deal with foreign people or foreign things for some reason. And maybe some negotiations of some sort are happening behind the scene that you're working on to make something happen, maybe with the company that you're working with. For others, you may be negotiating publishing something, right? Where you're working hard to get something that you've been writing for some time published. And it's still happening behind the scenes. But it represents a new start for you, right? When we look at that full moon in Gemini, well, that's in your 6th house. So that's opposite to what we just spoke about, right? The 6th house is opposite the 12th house. So now we're featuring what you do day to day. Typically for many people, that'll be the job that they do. It is also the house of health. So there might be some wrap up with regards to one or both of these areas of your life. Well, how can that play out? Well, because it is Gemini, it's probably something to do with communications. It can be your thoughts too. But you may communicate that you want to leave this job and you decide that's what you're going to communicate. For others, you may be wrapping up maybe something to do with your health. That new moon may have had you maybe having to go to get tests done, say, in the hospital, something like that. Or something to do with government offices. Maybe that new job is with a government office of some sort. And the full moon comes around and you're able to tie up everything. You sign the contracts. That sort of thing can happen here too. Gemini can also represent short distance travel. So there may be an element of that is, because it's a full moon, that you stop doing travel around, maybe traveling around the city or traveling around the state or province that you live in. That might be up here at this full moon too. That new moon, of course, is in your sign Capricorn. And so many Capricorns are going to be finally able to make a new start in their life. So this is your 1st house. So it could be any area of your life that needs a new start. You see the pieces coming together here finally, and you say, okay, I can actually now do this, right? Now, for it to have any real effect, we're looking at around 9 degrees or so of Capricorn, right? But it's interesting because this is like a story that started at the beginning of the year that has this, I get this feeling from most Capricorns, it's going to be a nice ending of some sort that allows you to start anew. And I guess coupled with this is the whole idea of Pluto finally out of your sign. It will not be in any of our signs, any of our houses for our lifetime, right? So that is something to celebrate. Maybe you're going to be able to look in that rear view mirror and say, it's all behind me now, and I can see this whole new start ahead. So some Capricorns are going to have a lot to celebrate this New Year's in terms of this new start, right? So enjoy that, Capricorn, and take care of yourself. So Aquarius, that new moon in Sagittarius sextiles your sign, right? And it involves the 11th house. So this may be opportunities for you to what? To make new friendships with foreign people, to connect in with foreign places and foreign people. This is a positive thing. Sextiles are opportunities, whether you want to take them or not. The 11th house also can represent our hopes, dreams, and wishes. And for those folks that have their own business, this actually is where you make your money in your own business. So there's going to be some Aquarians that get an opportunity here to make some money, perhaps by expanding their business out to a foreign land or working with foreign people. It can also indicate pleasant things like organizing some travel with your friends, right? Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun too. The other thing is that Sagittarius can also represent legal issues. So there may be some positive new opportunity in some legal issue of some sort here. When we move on to that full moon in Gemini, well, we're looking there at, so that full moon in Gemini is in your 5th house. So the 5th house is a wonderful house. It's a house of creativity, children, new love, true love, any kind of creative project, and having fun. So that full moon could bring in lots of opportunities in all those areas, right? And when we're looking at Gemini, we're talking about lots of communications. So it could be that there's going to be some Aquarians that'll be, socializing a lot and communicating a lot, right? The 5th house could bring in maybe some ending with regards to a new love or true love. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to end the relationship, although some may. It could just be that you talk it out with your partner, right? That's very Gemini, and decide that you want to take your relationship to a new level. That could be up here for some Aquarians too. But for others, you may just be wrapping up some kind of maybe writing project, right? Because Gemini can represent any kind of communications, including writing. For others, it might be also you sign off on a contract that you've been maybe negotiating for a while. And that's part of this full moon that you see, okay, finally, we've reached a conclusion here. And I say that because, of course, Mercury will be going direct that same day, right? The ruler of Gemini. Really positive for tying up, it's just like tying up that bow in the present and saying, okay, it's all done now. When we look at that new moon in Capricorn, well, that new moon is actually in your 12th house. So this speaks to some new start with regards to things behind the scene. So this can cover any kind of institutions like hospitals, government offices, even ashrams. And in fact, for those Aquarians that have maybe been really working hard all year, this could be a new moon, a new start where you say, I'm going to take care of myself. And you decide to go to something similar to an ashram, maybe even a spa type thing towards the end of the year that you celebrate that way. And your new start is all about taking care of yourself, right? The 12th house also is a house where you rest. So that's the other thing. Some Aquarians may be saying, all I need to do here is to take more rest and not work so hard. I mean, Saturn rules Capricorn and it likes to exert authority and it likes you to work hard. And so that may be up for some Aquarians where you really do have to stop and look, am I working too hard here? Do I need to nurture myself a bit? For others, it could be a new start with regards to looking underneath that carpet of your life and saying, what do I need to clear up here? Like this is the Marie Kondo house, the 12th house. It may literally too be that you decide to clean everything up in your home and to put things in their proper places, that type of thing, right? Take care of yourself, Aquarius. So Pisces, that new moon in Sagittarius squares your sign and involves your 10th house. And then, of course, the full moon that happens mid-month is going to be in your 4th house, and that also squares you, Pisces. So for this month, you have these two kind of challenges, and it involves the career, and it involves your home, your family, your mother. So I would say that for Pisces, especially at the new moon when we've got that Saturn square the moon, I would say that if there are any difficulties that are happening with family, try to think outside the box as best you can. Most people will be listening to this probably prior to December. So maybe think through if you're going to be involved with family members, etc., and you think there may be some difficulties there, try to plan something that will alleviate. That's what I'm thinking in my mind here. Alleviate any tension. Maybe it means you won't be spending as much time with certain people. Maybe you bring a peace offering of some sort, or that type of thing, right? But squares are also there for you, sure, to have challenges, but it doesn't mean you can't overcome them. And I'm thinking especially when we're looking at that 10th house, which is where the new moon in Sagittarius is. Hey, it might mean that you've got to get higher education, right? So Sagittarius can rule higher education. Maybe publishing something that you want isn't so straightforward. Maybe some legal matters need your attention. Maybe just the whole career has you having to deal with maybe foreign people or foreign places. And you're having to think outside the box to achieve whatever it is that you need to achieve in your career. Just put your nose to the grindstone. Ask for help when you need it. I mean, the other thing about Sagittarius too, ruled by Jupiter, Jupiter can be, the person who mentors you. So there could be an opportunity here to get over some of these challenges with the square by working with somebody that's maybe an advisor or a mentor to you. So for some Pisces in this situation, I would recommend that, right? For sure. When we look at that new moon at the end of the month in Capricorn, well, that forms a sextile and involves your 11th house. So this is going to be an opening for you, a new chapter for you with regards to friends, groups that you belong to. You may make some decision towards the end of the year to join a group that you've always wanted to join. For some, because this is Capricorn ruled by Saturn, you may be asked to be a more senior person in this group. Maybe be the president of one of your local groups. That sort of thing might be up for you. But the 11th house also rules your hopes, dreams, and wishes. And so I think it might be a useful exercise for some Pisces to maybe make that short list of what hopes, dreams, and wishes haven't come to fruition in your life that you would like to come to fruition. And maybe put them down on paper so you can see and start working towards some efforts here to maybe make those some hopes, dreams, or wishes come true in 2025. All right, take care of yourself, Pisces. So Aries, you've got that. Yeah, you've got both Neptune and Saturn going into your sign, Aries, in 2025. It'll dip back out again and back in again, as you know, these planets, especially the outer planets, go direct and retrograde until they finally get fully in your sign. But that's a seismic shift for you, Aries. Yeah, some Aries are going to be taking on the mantle of the expert starting next year. But let's look at this new moon in Sagittarius, fellow fire sign, so we know that trines you, Aries, right? And it trines your 9th house. So this is very positive for taking trips of any sort, for starting any educational, advanced education, new starts in legal matters, new starts in maybe publishing some things that you've been working on, Aries. All those are up for positive new starts for yourself, right? But it might just be that you decide to take a trip at this time, right? Overseas. Sagittarius represents foreign lands. And so that could be positively manifested for you at this new moon in Sagittarius on the 1st of December. When we look at that full moon in Gemini, well, that's in your 3rd house, and that sextiles you. So this is positive as well, right? This whole full moon is going to maybe wrap up something to do with a writing project. It can also have you ending short distance travel. So maybe you've been traveling around your state or your city as part of your job. And by mid-month, you get the green light that you don't have to do that anymore. And that new moon may actually be at the beginning of the month, maybe your opportunity to now do overseas travel, right? Yeah, third house is short distance travel. That's where the full moon is, so it's like an ending of some sort there. It could also be, that whole third house is ruled by Gemini, so it's kind of very favorable for you. Could be a wrap up of contracts. That can go two ways. It could just be you've been negotiating contracts, and it's wrapped up at this time because Mercury goes retrograde that same day, the 15th of December, right? It can also have you maybe literally wrapping up something that you've been working on. A writing project, for instance, is something that comes to mind. There could also be something to do with siblings at this time. Siblings and neighbors are also third house. And so there may be some wrap up with regards to maybe some communications, contracts, anything in that realm can be up at this time for you. Now, your ruler, which is Mars, is going retrograde in December, the 6th or 7th of December. And that falls in your fifth house. So the fifth house could be a house that's really highlighted for you, Aries, from December all the way through the end of February and maybe a little bit beyond too. So this really features things like creative projects, where the best way to use this with the fifth house, that's Mars, your ruler, going retrograde, is to do a lot of planning, redoing maybe things, getting more information, or seeking out things that help put the plan together for yourself. So if you are involved in any kind of creative project during those time periods I've just mentioned, you may have some delays come in here, you specifically, because that Mars is your ruler. So especially you, Aries, I would definitely be having a plan A, B, and C with regards to creative projects or anything where you want to take action on some part of your life here. There may be some delays that come up. When we look at that new moon in Capricorn, well, it squares you and it involves your 10th house. So here we have sort of a juxtaposition of energies. You have a new start, potentially, but there's challenges involved in it. So I'm thinking that because the new moon is in Capricorn and Saturn rules Capricorn, I think this is you, or at least some of you, maybe being advanced to a higher position in your career. And means that you've got to independently do things. That's the Aries part of it, right? You. And it's not also straightforward. I think that's what this is. I mean, the other thing that this can do too is potentially bring in somebody that you have to work with to make something happen in your career. Now, this is part of a larger story as well, right? That started in January, something wrapped up in June, and then this then allowed you to do this new start with regards to your career. I mean, the square doesn't have to be bad as long as you put the effort into whatever it is that you're being required. And it might be something required, say, from your supervisor, that you have to do some new thing. I mean, in my corporate career, I had to go through so many iterations of people taking us over. It could be something like that too, for some areas where you have to, learn new things in your career because you've been taken over by another company, and it's not all so straightforward, and maybe some of it you don't like. I really learned to go with the flow on that and not get all upset about it. In the end, it all seemed to work out in the end. It just required some effort that maybe you just don't want to make, but it may lead to something that has you being independent in the end. So don't forget that, right? Take care, Aries. So Taurus, that new moon in Sagittarius falls in your 8th house. So this is potentially new ideas, new situations coming with regards to shared resources. So the 8th house is a money house. It tends to be where our investments are, our 401ks, our pensions. anything to do with that type of thing, right? It's also our psychological self. It's our sex life. So all these things can be involved, but mostly we really focus more on the money side of it. So this could be an opportunity for you to maybe have some foreign investments come to light, and you decide to, latch onto them and maybe put some money into it. And that's your new start here. For other Taurians, this may be a time when you decide you want to retire. That's the new start. And you have to look carefully at all the pieces of money, investments, etc., that you need to access, and how do you go about doing it? Because that's quite a little exercise in itself, but that's what you decide you want to do. For others, you may decide that you want to start some psychological therapy. This would be a great thing to do. Sagittarius is a very positive sign, and so you may draw in someone of great benefit at this time if you decide to seek something like psychological therapy. For others, this may just be a new sexual partner comes into your life at this time. When we look at that full moon in Gemini, we're looking now at your second house. So we just looked at your eighth house, right? Now we're looking at the opposite, which is the second house, and it's a wrap-up. So this may be, for some Taurians, a time when you decide you do want to retire. And the full moon is the trigger point where you do it, right? With Mercury going direct that same day on the 15th of December. And you hand in your notice. For others, it may just be a time when there is your income is featured here. Maybe a big spotlight is put on the credit cards that you've been running up. And you make the decision that you have to stop that, right? There's this big spotlight that, hey, look, you've got to put a budget together here. And so there's going to be some Taurians that do that at that full moon as well. For others, like just say you are starting a new job, say that new job was the new start that you had at the new moon with a foreign connection maybe. And then at this full moon, you wrap up the contract, you sign on the dotted line, and it's all done. Yeah, because there's very much with Gemini, anything to do with communications, including contracts, can be part of the deal, right? Now, when we look at that new moon, second new moon of the year in Capricorn, well, that trines you, right? It's a fellow earth sign, and it involves your ninth house. So this is also positive. There's going to be some Taurians that are going to be going on some nice trip at the end of the year. What a wonderful way to celebrate the end of the year and the beginning of a new one, right? For others, there may be a new start with regards to a legal matter of some sort, right? And it's a trine, so this is a positive energy for you. For others, you may be publishing some of your writing. And I always say it doesn't have to be like this big tome or big book. It could just be some kind of big project you've been working on that you now get to publish and show it to the world. So this is a real positive time for that too. For others, it might be a new start for starting an educational program, especially advanced education in university setting. Maybe you get Saturn rules Capricorn, so the authority figures give you the green light that you can start your master's or your Ph.D. program, and you're thrilled about it. But the ninth house does involve foreign people, foreign things. So there's going to be some positive new starts there for some reason for a lot of Taurians at this time. Take care, Taurus. So Gemini, that new moon in Sagittarius, of course, is opposite to you. So there's going to be some new starts for some Geminis with regards to your partner, whether it's a marriage partner, a business partner, or even clients. And let's just say it is clients. You could be drawing in some foreign element here. Maybe some Geminis will be reaching out to foreign lands in terms of what they're doing. Working with people, forming partnerships. That's the new start here. But it can also involve a focus on your partner, Gemini, where your partner maybe has something that they want to tell you with regards to maybe some future project they're working on. Sagittarius can represent the future, right? For others, you may be just having a new start here with regards to putting a business partnerships together. Maybe this is you signing off on some of the contracts and that, right? But don't forget that we do have a Mercury retrograde going on at the new moon on the 1st of December, right? And hey, the big thing for you in 2025 is going to be Uranus going into your sign. So lots of big change ahead for Gemini starting in 2025. I'll talk about my forecast for 2025 shortly. I've almost got all the details sorted out, but stay tuned for that one. Yeah, and so right now, though, positively, Gemini, you have Jupiter in your sign. Jupiter's like Father Christmas. He just wants to bring you presents, wants to bring you benefits. Now, the benefits can come in forms certainly of literally gifts and money, but it can also come in the form of a person. So this could be a mentor. It could be an advisor. It can also be a time when you become an advisor or mentor as well. Jupiter stays in a sign for approximately a year. So it's going to continue in your sign through June 2025. So take advantage of that, right? When we look at that full moon in Gemini, well, Gemini, that is you. So it's your first house. The positive thing is on that 15th of December, when we have the full moon in your sign, is Mercury, your ruler, will be going direct the same day. Super positive. So maybe some frustrations that you may have been going through, maybe with regards to anything to do with communications, that's contracts, writing, etc. You get the green light here with the Mercury, your ruler, going direct at that full moon. You wrap up. This to me says wrapping up a writing project, wrapping up a contract that maybe you've been negotiating a long time on, right? Maybe a sales or commerce initiative is wrapped up at this time, either wrapped up in terms of you sign off on the contracts, or you decide you don't want to work in that anymore or do that particular activity anymore. Other things that can happen with Gemini are short distance travel. So you may end up stopping travel of some sort that is a short distance travel. And that's one of the activities that can happen at the full moon. When we look at that new moon in Capricorn, well, that's your 8th house. So here are new starts with regards to investments, shared resources. You could decide to take a really hard look at all your investments and finances that you have, your 401ks, and make some kind of new initiative here. And maybe you'll work with an advisor of some sort to do that. Someone who knows the rules and regulations. That new moon in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, right? And Saturn tends to speak to authorities, people who know the rules and regulations, that type of thing. It's possible there might be some Geminis that decide they want to retire, and that new start in the 8th house is you accessing all your funds to allow you to retire. That would be a great way to use the new moon too. For others, you may have a new start in your sex life, and it may involve an older person. Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, can be an older person here, right? This also could be a new start with regards to taking on some psychological therapy and having an expert help you out. If that's something up to you, this would be a great new start to do that. So that's on the 30th of December, right? Whatever it is, Gemini, this was a sort of a story that started in January, did some kind of culmination in June, and then ushered in this new start for you in your 8th house, right? It's also secrets. So there may have been a process of maybe things coming to light for you that were hidden before, that wrap up here, manifesting as a new start for you with regards to resources. Something as simple as you not realizing maybe you had shares or something like that in one of the companies that you worked in that comes to light. You get sent a letter where this is the 5th time they're sending it to you saying, you've got to cash in these shares from the previous company. I actually had this happen to me once. So that can, it's a lot of things that the 8th house represents, right? But it's a new start and I really like it. Take care of yourself, Gemini. So Cancer, that new moon in Sagittarius falls in your 6th house. So this puts a focus on, if you do not work, it's day-to-day activities, new starts there. It could, for those that do work, it could be literally you starting a new job, and the new job may involve what? Foreign people, foreign things. Publishing for some reason. For others, it could be a new start where you start a master's or a Ph.D. program, that's the activities you start doing day to day. For others, it's a new start in your health. You know, Sagittarius can represent your future. And so there's going to be some Cancers that say, wow, I've got this whole new start with regards to my health, and I see a positive future ahead for myself. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. It can also bring in an expert or an advisor to you, right? Even a teacher. That can manifest at this time with regards to your health as well. And I'm just thinking back on what I just spoke about, the other part of the 6th house, which is your day-to-day job. There may be some Cancers that actually become teachers. That is your job, right? That's very much in the realm of Sagittarius. So that full moon in Gemini is in your 12th house. So Cancer, I think this could be a time period where you could just start cleaning stuff up in your life, maybe literally cleaning up. It can also be a time maybe where you need some rest. 12th house is the house of rest for sure. So maybe you need to do some Cancer things for yourself and nurture yourself, right? That is coming up as a real intuitive thing for me, that Cancers have been trying to please everybody, and it's time for you to take some rest here and take care of yourself, right? And that you communicate that out. For others, you know, Gemini is very much about communications. And so there might be some reason, maybe part of your job, you're working behind the scenes, maybe even working behind the scenes to put together some new SOPs, standard operating procedures for your company, and it all has to be kept under the radar for right now. Communications could be going on with other institutions, say government institutions, for some reason, but it all has to go on behind the scenes, right? But the theme here is that it's a wrap-up, or it's a big spotlight being put on something. Maybe you've just been ignoring some things with regards to things that you need to clean up that you've been shoving under the carpet for some time. And you finally say, you know what, I'm just going to have to take care of that right now. The 12th house also is the metaphysical world. So there's going to be some Cancers that maybe wrap up. Maybe you're taking some course to learn tarot cards, or maybe an astrology course. Shamanism falls in this as well. And you wrap it up. You wrap up that course and say, okay, I've got lots more information, lots more tools to put on my tool belt with regards to the metaphysical world here. Yeah. Now, when we look at that new moon in Capricorn, well, we know that Capricorn is opposite your sign, Cancer. And so now we're looking at the 7th house. So this is you more looking at your partner and your partner having new starts. And you having to, it's like you looking at your partner and them telling you, hey, I've got this whole new start happening. And the whole new start for them may be Capricorn related from the standpoint of them becoming or being recognized as an expert or an advisor of some sort. For other Cancers, you may decide that you want to enter into a business partnership. And this new moon sets up the dynamic of the work back and forth of putting things together. What do you want? What do I want? That type of thing. It could also have you seeking out an advisor of some sort for some reason. The seventh house is all other people. It's not you. It's you having to work with other people. And with the new starts there. You could also be, if you have clients as part of your, say, job that you do, this could be new starts or new initiatives with regards to older clients. That could be up here too. I'm thinking also, when I think of Capricorn and the areas of the body, Capricorn rules things like bones and teeth, even skin and that type of thing, anything with a matrix, right? And it might be that your partner has something to do with those areas of their life as well. That something comes up as a new start for them with regards to bones, teeth, skin, that type of thing as well. It's an opposition, so it means that you have to be involved in this somehow. I'm thinking more, we're looking here at business partnerships, new starts in that area. But hey, it could be marriage partnerships too, where there's some new initiative that goes on here. Maybe you decide to put aside the old, that's Capricorn, and start something new with regards to the partnership that you're in. Now I'm talking about your marriage partnership, right? Take care, Cancer. So Leo, that new moon in Sagittarius is in a fellow fire sign, so we know it trines you, and it involves your fifth house. So hey, this is new starts in what? Creative projects for sure. Very much favored here at this time, especially if you are working with anything Sagittarian. So that's foreign people, foreign things, but it's also universities. It's also publishing. So there's going to be some Leos that'll be publishing at this time. You get an opportunity to publish your creative project of some sort. You may even be awarded a new project at this time. It's highly creative. For others, Leos, this could be a new love come into your life. Like, how exciting is that? And this new love in your life could be a foreign person. It could also be a person that works at a university type setting or even in the legal profession. And some Leos may just have the opportunity to really have more fun. I mean, Leo, you rule the fifth house, right? So this is kind of a double whammy for you in the sense, a positive sense, where you may just decide, I got to start having some more fun here. And that fun may also involve you taking some travel, right? Maybe even some long distance travel. Hopefully that speaks to you, Leo. Now, that Mars retrograde does start in your sign, Leo. So there may be some delays of some sort that come up. You can't quite take action. Now, this Mars retrograde does start here in December, right? In your sign. So I would say, Leo, if you've got some project you're trying to kick off in December, know that you're probably going to have some unexpected delays happen, or you have to rework something, that type of thing. Won't last forever. I'm just giving you the heads up on that. And as I've said to many other signs in this video, have a plan A, B, and C for any kind of creative project that you want to have take off in December. When we look at that full moon in Gemini, well, it sextiles your sign. So here's opportunities to form new friendships, just on its own. Also opportunities to maybe join groups that you've wanted to join. Opportunities to speak to groups. I mean, that Gemini represents any kind of communications, right? And for those Leos that actually have their own business, this may be having you have opportunities to make money, maybe through advertising. I mean, Gemini can fall under that area of life too, is any kind of advertising. For others, this may be a wrap up on some hope, dream, or wish that you've had, that it actually comes true. You had the opportunity to make some hope, dream, or wish come true for yourself. I mean, that's the highest level of the 11th house. But I would just say overall, there may be some kind of wrap up or some big focus put on either a friendship or friends at this full moon. And it could be something as simple that one of your best friends is going to be moving out of state. And that's what comes up here at the full moon. That type of thing could happen. When we look at that new moon in Capricorn, that involves your 6th house, Leo. And so I would say for those Leos that they've had poor health, that this is a new start. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So it's like an expert potentially can come in here and give you this new start. Breathe fresh air into your health. Or you may just get serious about your health towards the end of this year. Maybe that's going to be your New Year resolution, that you take better care of your body, especially your bones and your teeth, because those are the areas of your body that Capricorn rules. For still other Leos, this is going to be a new start, maybe at a new job, or a new start in a different part of the company that you work in. It can also be for some Leos, a new start in your job, but you take on the mantle of the advisor, of the older person who knows all the rules and regulations. That's going to be up for some Leos too. All right, take care, Leo. So Virgo, that new moon in Sagittarius, as well as the full moon in Gemini, both square you. The new moon in Sagittarius squares your 4th house. And then the full moon in Gemini squares your 10th house. So there's some new start that's going to be coming to light for you around that new moon at the beginning of December with regards to your home, with regards to your family. That may require you to make an adjustment of some sort, or just may require you to put effort into it. There may be some Virgos that move overseas because this is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is foreign places, foreign people, right? And that, you have to put a lot of effort to make it all happen. It doesn't mean it won't happen, right? For others, it just may be difficulties with family members that you've got to resolve. And especially since we've got that moon Saturn square happening at the same time, it puts an emphasis on that, right? Yeah, so I would say if you certainly anticipate potentially some issues with some family members or your mother over the holiday season, that you try to figure out some creative ways to make things work. Maybe it requires you to offer a peace offering, or maybe you don't spend so much time with certain family members and you think about that ahead of time and plan for it. Yeah, and for others, it may be that this new moon with your family means there's some new start with one of your family members, where you're somehow involved with helping them make this new start for themselves. So that full moon in your 10th house square, the positive thing about this full moon in Gemini is that the ruler, Mercury, goes direct the same day. So there's some good news coming from this square for you with your career. I think mostly it's going to have you working hard at your career, right? That's what I think this is going to be for most Virgos. Just when you think you can maybe take some time off, your boss gives you another project to do. But like I said, the positive part of it is that we've got Mercury going direct, and Mercury is going to be in Sagittarius too at that time. So yeah, I would say just get all your ducks in a row with regards to anything you have to do with your career and your job. For some folks, it may mean that you have to take some test of some sort, or some paperwork has to be filled out, or the paperwork just keeps piling up for you as well. But great achievements can come with squares, especially involving the 10th house. So always keep your eye on the end game, right? Plan accordingly, put effort into it, and things can turn out for you, right? Now, when we look at that new moon In Capricorn, well, that's a fellow earth sign, so that's a beautiful trine that's formed for you, Virgo, and it involves the 5th house. So this is a lovely way to end the year. I mean, literally, some Virgos may meet a new love, maybe at one of these New Year's parties. That could happen for you. Others may get pregnant at this time. That could be pregnant, or you could give birth at this time, or your partner could give birth at this time. That's a beautiful trine. And the 5th house rules children as well, right? For others, you may be having a new start with regards to a creative project. And that creative project may require you to work hard. This is in Capricorn, right? Ruled by Saturn. But it may also be some responsibilities come your way too. But they're all favorable. So new responsibilities regarding children, new responsibilities regarding a new love, new responsibilities regarding a fantastic creative project. Take care, Virgo. So Libra, that new moon in Sagittarius sextiles you and involves your 3rd house. So right off the bat, this could just be ongoing communications with regards to foreign people and foreign things. It could also have you traveling here, new opportunities to travel. And the new opportunities to travel can be both overseas as well as more locally. New opportunities to maybe take on a writing project, but also conversely, new opportunities to publish that writing project too could be up here. New opportunities to engage maybe in communications with either your siblings or neighbors at this time too. When we look at that full moon in Gemini, well, that trines you, Libra, and it involves your 9th house. So for any Librans that are undergoing some kind of legal matter right now, this full moon wraps it up. So that's the 15th of December. It wraps it up nicely. Why? Because it's a trine to that 9th house and Mercury going direct. So for those Librans that are waiting for good news regarding legal matters, look towards that full moon in Gemini in your 9th house with the Mercury going direct. It could also be, for some folks, being given the green light to have something published at this time. If you are doing an advanced degree, that's the wrap up here. There's going to be some Librans that'll be wrapping up a master's or Ph.D., or at least see the end to it, right? Put the final paperwork together. For others, I mean, that 9th house, being that full moon in the 9th house, could be some folks going back home. Maybe they've been living overseas, and this is the wrap up of you communicate and say, I'm coming back home now. I've done what I need to do, and I'm not going to be living at a distance anymore. When we look at that new moon in Capricorn, it squares your sign, Libra, and involves the 4th house. And so the 4th house is your family, your home, your literal home, your childhood home, your mother. So there may be some new start here that has, a little bit of a fly in the ointment where it's not quite as easy to put this new start. Maybe it's a home that you're buying and issues come up that aren't quite straightforward. Maybe you're selling a home and there are things that come up that you did not expect that you've got to put some effort into. It doesn't mean none of this is going to happen. It just means that you've got to put a little effort into it to make it happen. That's all. You may have some difficulties with your mother or your family at this time. Maybe you want to set up a new home somewhere and your family has disagreements about it. Maybe somebody is going to be coming to live with you in your home and you've got to make room for them. And it requires you to put some effort into it. Maybe your mother will come and live with you and you have to allocate a part of the house for her. And it just requires some effort on your side, right? Just always look at the win-win situation. With squares, always have patience. So I would say, Libra, towards the end of this year, have patience with your family and your mother and put positive effort into it and everything should be fine. Take care, Libra. So Scorpio, that new moon in Sagittarius is in your second house. So this says there's going to be some new start with regards to the income that you make. Some new start with regards to the value you have of yourself and the value other people place on you too. So literally this could be you starting a new job. And the new job may involve a connection with foreign people or foreign things. Universities could be involved here. Maybe for some Scorpios, you'll become a teacher. That's the new start for you. That's where you're going to be earning your income from. It's also publishing, so maybe the new job involves you with a publishing house. It's also the legal profession, so it could be that that element is brought into the money that you make as well. For still others, this might just be a great opportunity for you to travel, right? Travel overseas, foreign places. Now, when we look at that full moon in Gemini, that's in your 8th house, Scorpio. And so this is a wrap up with regards to your investments and your shared resources. It's a wrap up with regards to, for some, if you're in psychological therapy, this may be a time when you say, you know what, I've really benefited from this, but now I'm going to stop it. I don't want to do it anymore. For still other Scorpios, you're going to decide mid-December that you're going to start accessing your 401k and all your investments and your pensions because you're going to retire. And that's the new start for you, right? So when we look back at that new moon in your second house, maybe your new job is you're retiring. That's a nice tie-in with the new moon at the beginning and then the full moon mid-month. And you make that announcement, right? Mercury goes retrograde on the 15th at that full moon in Gemini, and you announce that you are retiring, and you start putting out all the communications to start getting in the money that you're going to now live on through your investments, pensions, and 401k. That would be a beautiful setup for Scorpios that are doing that, right? Now, when we look at the new moon in Capricorn, well, that sextiles your sign, Scorpio, and involves the 3rd house. So this speaks to opportunities to write, opportunities to maybe speak in front of an audience, opportunities to communicate more with your siblings and or your neighbors. That could be a new start for you too. Overall, I like the 3rd house for writing or some kind of communicating. It's also like early education or like courses, that sort of thing. So there may be some Scorpios get an opportunity to maybe put together a small course, maybe for your company that you work for, that involves a teaching element of some sort, right? For still other Scorpios, hey, this could be you getting an opportunity to kick off that sales or commerce project that you've wanted to do. That could be your new start here at the end of the year. Whatever it is, it's something, even if it was just an idea in your head that started in January this year, had some kind of culmination in June, that then spills over to the end of the year to manifest in some new start. Take care of yourself, Scorpio. All right, everybody, I'm wishing everyone a very happy holiday season, whatever it is that you do or celebrate. Please enjoy yourself and look forward to next year. I'm optimistic as per usual with my Sagittarian sun. I'm sending everybody a lot of love, and I'm thinking season's greetings is what I want to say, but take it easy over this month of December. We've got a lot happening. There's a lot of toing and froing. Enjoy yourself and have a lot of patience. But make sure to enjoy yourself and spread the love is what I've got to say. Bye for now, everybody, and Happy New Year. So I just want to give a shout out to some of my clients as well as viewers that are local to me in San Diego that came to support me when I gave my lecture in September at the San Diego Astrological Society. I just want to thank you so much for coming down. You'll see their pictures here But I just wanted to give them a nice shout out, and happy holidays to all of you. I am going to be giving another lecture September 2025. I'll give you all the details well in advance. So plan to come and see me again. Happy holidays to all of you, and thanks again.